our podcast is about your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. I did see that you've toured with Unwritten Law, and those are, I love them. They're they're family to us.
Right on. Yeah.
The intro to our song, or the intro to our podcast, if you listen to it, is Scott.
Is it really?
Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah.
Dude, no way.
It's him, and then his girlfriend does like the harmony in the background.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. But
dude, it's funny. I was going to ask you about it because it's been stuck in my head because once we lined this up, I checked out a couple things. And,
cool.
And I was like, man, I step out of the shower and I'm humming it and like, yeah, that's funny that's old Roos, man. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, Scotty wrote it for me. It was funny because it was hilarious too, because I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to start this podcast. And I'm like, I need a hook, and he's like, okay. And then I played him a couple things that I like, other podcasts I had listened to. I'm like, this is kind of the vibe. And he's like, dude, this is like a fully produced song. Like, he's like, what do you, and I'm like, do whatever you're going to do. And he came back with that. And I was like, damn, like, thank you.
That's rad, man. That's cool.
He wrote it in like literally like in front of me and my wife in like 45 seconds.
I'm sure it is. That's how he rolls, man. That's cool.
It is very cool. Well, Kevin, again, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. Tell me, where did you grow up? Are you from Southern California?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I was born in Staten Island, New York, and then moved down to for like grade school.
Sorry, you
and then
cut
back
out there
up
for
to Staten Island
second.
for high school. I was in Staten Island, New York. Then I moved down to New Jersey for like grade school, and then went through high school in Staten Island. And then didn't move out here until I was about like 20. 21-ish around there. Right. Yeah.
Well, how did you get into music?
So, yeah, dude.
How did you get into music originally?
My uncles, they're kind of hobby musicians, and my uncle Tom would always play, at family gatherings, which were like frequent. After dinner, everybody would get, the liquor would come out and the guitars would come out, and we'd play old folk songs like the Beatles and the Stones and things like that. And all that was really cool. And he would always let me like pick through his like sheet music and stuff in the garage, which he had a bunch of, where, you learn a G7 and a C, and then you could play like Oh Susanna and 3,000 other songs, that type of thing. So I did that when I was young. I was pretty young. I was, probably before around like 5th grade or 4th grade. And then I super got into like Bush and 311 and No Doubt, and everybody wanted to play Glycerine on guitar.
Oh, sure.
So I think I had like a nylon. Yeah, I think I had like a nylon string, like that was my mother's. And I was probably in like 6th grade. And I remember, do you play guitar? Are you a musician?
I can play guitar poorly, but I know I can play it.
There you go. All right, so you would understand. Like if you ever played like a nylon string,
like the big Spanish guitar,
like pretty big.
It's like that wide and that thick. Yeah.
Sure. So me in like 6th grade playing like an F power chord. It was very interesting. But I
still a difficult power chord, actually.
Still, yes.
It really is.
Yeah. No, you're not kidding. But yeah, so then I did that and was in bands. I think we all played like kind of the standard stuff, the Blink-182s and the things like that. And then I was in a couple bands in high school, and we did a couple things that were fun. Like we won a battle of the bands to play on Warped Tour in like 2004 or something like that. So we were just kids. We were like 16.
That must have been a big moment, though. That's awesome.
Oh, it was super cool. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it was Warped Tour. We also won another battle of bands to play the Skate and Surf Festival, which was also a thing in New Jersey in Asbury Park back then. But I think this was Warped Tour. Yeah, it was definitely Warped Tour. It was like our first thing. I remember showing up to like Asbury Park, where it was outside. And I get there, and we had just won this battle of the bands, and there's no place for us to bring our stuff. There was no stage. So I somehow finagled my way into like the backstage sort of area. And all of a sudden I was in front of Kevin Lyman. And I was like 16. And I remember this girl with like a walkie is like, Kev, this kid needs to talk to you about something. He's in some band, whatever. They supposed to have a stage. They don't have a stage. And I remember him like not looking up from his laptop and being like, okay, what? And he listened to me. And there was another, there was like 6 or 7 other bands. We're all kids. Dude, they went out, excuse me, they went out and got a generator from Home Depot and put like a couple like pieces of decking together, and they stuck us by the porta potties, but
But they made
built
you a
us
stage?
they built us a stage, like no questions asked. And then all these bands, we all used the same gear. We started like super late, but we got to play, and that was like my first experience with like playing, and like being backstage and seeing like, I don't remember who was on that tour. I remember like the Ataris, and I remember, I don't know, it was like 2003 or 4, but that was my first experience with that. I was like, oh, this is incredible.
That's so rad though.
And then
and have that moment. I mean, I'm surprised Kevin Lyman was just like, like told you to piss off or something. Like, how cool that he actually got it.
Yeah, no, dude, you
weren't like Chris Rowe walking up to him and being like, "Hey, when's my set?"
I mean, I'm not like a full-on saint. There were other people around, but it was me who got through and spoke to him. It was pretty wild. So I remember that. It was fun. We were on like the cover of the Asbury Park Press or whatever too, like rad. With our photos. So it was cool. It was a cool moment to be like a teenager,
Definitely, that's rad.
And then did a couple other things like that with that band, and then I applied to Berklee and left and went to Boston.
Oh wow! So you went to Boston for Berklee. How did you get into school? I love talking to people about this.
Yeah,
because I'm not a good musician, but I love hearing the audition process because everybody has a little different one. Like, did you have to audition to go to the school?
Yeah, but actually, just a little side note. When I was checking stuff out, I saw you did an episode with Jesse Rubin not that long ago.
Yeah. Love him.
I haven't spoken to Jesse since Berklee, but we were buds back then. And
oh really? That's cool. He's a good guy.
We like kind of got together over. Yeah, dude. I haven't spoken to him. I maybe I'll reach out to him after this. But it was pretty easy because there wasn't much of. I think they were pretty accepting with students at that time. They were just kind of taking a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I was scared. I played a bunch of like weird metal and like songs by Dream Theater and like a couple like jazz solo stuff that was way out of my league at that time. But I tried and I got in, and I only stayed for a year. I wasn't ready for.
What did you go in as, a guitar player?
A guitar player. Yeah.
Okay. Was it because, so I've had this, I've talked to people about this, like they'll go in like as a guitar player with one thing, and then it's just like, okay, like you have to know, like you'll be next to the guy that's like shredding this crazy jazz solo, and then you've got to kind of like jump on board and like riff off of that. Like, was it pretty like intimidating, like going there, or not really, or?
Yeah. But that really wasn't my issue. Like I've always been confident in like what I do, or also just knowing that, or what I want to do or want to accomplish. So I was never really too worried about, because you get in these ensemble rooms, there's 4 other guitar players, and like this dude rips, and then it's like your turn,
right? And
you're in front of like these insane teachers that are incredible, and you're just embarrassed.
Everyone there, everyone there is the best guitar player in their town, right?
Of course, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, I had intentions of like getting into like the MP&E program, which is like the production and engineering program, and then also maybe the film scoring program. But like all that stuff was just way beyond my scope of comprehension at that time. I think I just wanted to just be in a band,
Yeah.
Like,
so did you go there and just make friends with people and start a band and call it, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, Berklee is fully responsible for what my like path,
Okay.
I met a fella named Alan Hetker who he grew up here in Orange County. I'm not in Orange County, but he grew up down in Orange County, and he's in a band called Orange Blossom Special now with his brother Anton. And at the time, his brother Anton was tour managing this band Bullets and Octane, which I was in for a while. Like,
oh wow, you're in that
10,
band?
12 years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
This is like maybe 2005. Yeah. I think it was like 2005 ish, maybe sometime around there. Anton was tour managing them. I got to kind of meet them when they came through Boston, and I became like a huge fan. I thought their first 2 records, I still listen to them to this day. They're incredible. Like There's one record, In the Mouth of the Young, is just like one of the coolest rock and roll records ever. So I was a big fan. And then after Berklee, I popped out and saw them again in Atlantic City. They were on tour with like Avenged Sevenfold, and Alan was there and Anton. We all kind of met up and hung out. And maybe like a week later, I think it was that same tour, Alan calls me and he's like, "Hey, the guitar player quit. You should like move out to California and join Bullets and Octane." And I was like, okay, like that sounds great. But you know, he's close friends with them. I didn't get like an invitation from them or anything. So I went home that day and I told my mom, I was like, I think I'm gonna move to California. And she's like, okay, when do you plan on doing that? And I was like, on Saturday. And it's like, I literally just left like the next day.
Oh my God.
And so, I mean, through Alan, who studied at Berklee longer than I did, but it's through him that I met those guys and moved out here. And yeah, dude, it was pretty wild. Like total, like typical stupid Hollywood story of like lost my bag, had my guitar, you know, that's it. Like,
yeah. So you come out here just to basically just to come out to play in Bullets and Octane.
Yeah, total crapshoot. They didn't even ask me.
Yeah. So then you're in the band then they eventually let you in the band. Like tell me, how'd you get in? After moving out here.
Yeah, kind of. I feel like it always kind of happens this way. It happened like this with Unwritten Law too, in a similar way, where I get to California and like I know the guys in the band, but I get there and they're about to go on this European tour and they hired this other guy. And I was like, God, great. Here we are. Like, right. So I'm just out here doing whatever. They came back and like super long, weird story short, I was playing in a band with, Bullets had just toured with Unwritten Law and they decided to start this band called Sex and Violence, right?
Oh yeah, that was with Johnny.
Yeah. So I was in that band before Johnny for a little bit. So it's actually, this is kind of when I met Johnny too. Like at first it started, nobody from Unwritten Law was in it. It was just myself playing guitar, Gene from Bullets, Brent, the bass player from Bullets, Todd from Death by Stereo, one of the original drummers, was the drummer. And our friend Jeremy was the singer. And so we did that for a while. So I was playing with those dudes. And about that time, I moved up to Hollywood. And at the same time, it didn't work out with the other guy they hired. So they were like, "Hey, do you want to do the Bullets thing too?" So I just kind of, So I, you know, it just happened like that with that. And then I was in the band.
So then you joined Bullet, or you were Bullet and also doing Sex and Violence?
Yeah, but Sex and Violence never really kind of panned out to anything. And then Johnny started playing bass in the band. And then my friend Rocky started playing guitar. And then I wouldn't play some shows. And we'd get some other drummers. And that there was like 10 people that kind of were in and out of that. But it was fun.
Yeah. Well, they did. I was living in San Francisco at the time when he was in that band. And it was right before he joined Unwritten Law. Or maybe it was later because Swan Song came out when I was living in San Francisco. And Johnny came up and they played like Bottom of the Hill or something with Sex and Violence. So they were touring a little bit, I remember.
Yeah, I recorded the record and then I played for like maybe a year in the band and then I kind of stopped playing with them. And like I said, everybody started coming in and out and Bullets went on tour. We went to Europe. We did a couple of US tours.
Wow. But so were they were signed and doing stuff already when you joined
Bullets
them?
and Octane they were on RCA and they were like, but when I got in the band, it was kind of going like this just because like they got let go right as I joined the band. But I recorded an album with Bullets as well. I think it was like 2009 or whatever we did that. But at that time I moved up to Hollywood and I was living with Johnny. Johnny and I were roommates for
no way. That's so cool.
Yeah. And that's how I met Scott.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you were living with Johnny, and then because you ended up did you play on the Swans? It's called, I think the record's called Swan Song. I'm losing my mind.
Swan.
Yeah. Did you play on that album, or were you in the band? I did not. That time?
Just right after, basically. They were recording that record for a while because we were all buds. I knew what they were doing. They were recording all that stuff
they recorded the record in Tim from Undying's house, or they were recording it there. I don't know if they ever finished it there. I remember they were doing stuff there, and then
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they were doing like the drums at some place in Claremont. But I remember like being at Tim Lambesis' house, and I think he was in prison
really?
at the time. Like, you remember how he went to jail?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he went to jail for like putting out the hit out on his wife or whatever. I think
that's a wild story, man. Yeah.
And he's out now. What a bizarre. But anyway, I think he might have been in jail, and they were like using his house, like they were renting his house out and using his studio, because I remember Scott was doing vocals there. But anyway,
dude, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I don't remember that. But
I don't know if any of that made the album, but it was, they were recording at the time.
I mean, I joined, well, actually, excuse me, they finished that record, and then Bullets really we stopped touring. We didn't have much going on. And I actually started playing in a band with Russo. It's called Scott Russo and the Big Big Bang. I don't know if you ever heard of that or
I remember that too. Yeah, you guys played that's so funny.
Yeah.
You guys played what was it, Adams Avenue Street Fair here in San Diego.
Yes, with the presidents of the United States of America were on that show too.
Yes, I know. That was sick.
I remember
that was the only time I ever saw you guys play a show.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know how many you guys did as the Big Big Bang.
Yeah, I think we only played like 4 or 5 shows, maybe.
Yeah, it was kind of a short-lived thing.
Yeah, not many.
It was kind of short-lived.
And then, yes. Okay. And then Scott asked me, I think it was either Scott or Johnny was like, hey, they need a guitar tech. And I wasn't doing anything for the summer, so I just went out and teched with Unwritten Law. And I can't remember. They were on tour with like Authority Zero maybe or something. It was like a cool US tour. It was like a long tour. And went out for the whole summer. And that last night was the night where Scott and Steve got into a fight, and Steve quit and Pat quit.
Yeah.
And so dude, that tour was,
you gotta be there for that. Oh man.
I was there I was right there.
Okay. Yeah. I was there when during the Rob Brewer exit.
Oh yeah. I've heard that story.
The guitar and the crowd and the whole thing. But
yeah, so I was there for that. I was doing Steve's guitars and Pat's basses and stuff. And then it was a couple weeks after that Scott was just like, hey, do you want the gig? We have a bunch of shows coming up. Because I had just played with him with his other band, and even it was a cool experience touring with Unwritten Law, because like I grew up like, playing acoustic songs with my friends and stuff. And as you kind of go through like the late 90s, early 2000s hits, you run into like Rest of My Life and Caitlin and those songs. So only a couple of years before that, I was in my buddy Danny's garage and we're playing Rest of My Life. And then all of a sudden I'm on stage playing it with Scott. And it was cool. It's like, it's not the coolest, craziest story ever, but it's a cool little thing.
That is cool, man. I don't know. He played at our wedding and I was like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Like, like I thought it was so cool. Like he played that song. My wife walked down the aisle. I was like, this is fucking cool. So
that's rad, man. Yeah, that's real cool. No, dude, I mean, that tour, it was fun. And like, I learned a lot, became good friends with everybody. And then a couple months after that, they had Warped Tour, and we went out on Warped Tour. And, and that was fun. We played the whole thing. We were, I had never really done anything huge up to this point. Not that Warped Tour is enormous, but we're sharing the same stage with like Street Dogs and Simple Plan and
huge bands.
Who else? Sum 41, and we're on the same stage. I was super pumped. It was so much fun, man. And I was still young. I was like 24 or something,
Yeah, because that was cool. I mean, that record has been out for a while.
The Swan. Yeah, I think it was like they finished it the year before I started playing with them, I think.
Okay, so you played. How long did you play with them for? About a year or so, or
about 2
years.
I think about 2. I did like a couple Australian tours with them. We went to Australia twice or 3 times. Once on like the Soundwave Festival, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, they're so massive out there. I mean, they can still go out there and sell out like that. Like it's so cool.
I called it Rockstar Camp because it was 2 weeks of, everybody gets their own hotel rooms and everybody takes care of you. And it was so much fun. And then you get back to LAX and they kick your bag over and you're like, oh, welcome back.
Oh, so are they kind of treated like it's next level for them there? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, not yeah, not in a crazy way, but more than here. And yeah, like the fans in Australia were awesome. They were so cool. I played some of the coolest shows of my life there, with
so awesome.
with Unwritten Law. And yeah, we did that. We went back to Australia with Suicidal Tendencies, which was an
cool.
awesome time.
Wow, yeah.
We played with Zebrahead out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw you just spoke to Ali too.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah, he's cool.
So known those dudes for like 10 years too. And,
oh wow, yeah, he's a great guy. He's got a new band. I talked to him about his new band.
Yeah. What is
Fear No Empire? Yeah,
Fear No
Empire. Yeah, very cool.
I haven't checked it out yet, but all those dudes are great dudes.
It's cool. It's cool. It's only like a quick EP, but it's dope. They did the whole thing like during COVID. Like
really?
Back and forth
that
tracks
new,
type thing. Yeah.
Right.
So, well, after Unwritten Law, what'd you do?
Well, dude, I just decided I just wanted to do something different. It wasn't my band. Nothing bad ever happened. Nothing. People like to assume there was some sort of bad thing.
Right.
That's why I left that band. I get it. That's like everybody asks me that all the time. Like, what happened with you and Scott?
Because he just has that stigma.
Well, no, it's just what happened previously. I think people expected that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I love him.
And like, I was just like nothing happened. I just wanted to. I got to a point where I was like, I've just been in everybody's bands. I want to do something for myself here before I'm 40.
Right.
So like. So I didn't want to play in people's bands. I quit for like about a year. I would quit, and then like 3 months later, Scott would be like, "Hey, we got this gig. You want to do this gig with us?" So yeah, sure. And then right after I left, Johnny started playing with them, and they've had that same unit since then.
Yeah, I know. With Chris, and now they have Scotty Mack is in the band now. I think as a full-time member. Yeah. So I mean, it's good. I think for them, this is like. Having Johnny in the band, I think helps quite a bit. Keep everything together.
Yeah, dude,
it's all cool. In the family now.
Johnny's the perfect person to be in that band. Like he's been there from the beginning, So I'm super pumped that he's doing that with them.
Oh, it's awesome. It's funny because Johnny and he's a year older than me, and we went to school together since we were in middle school. Like,
that's crazy, man.
So that's really wild, that's how long I've known like the Grills and Scott and Russo and all those people. We just grew up together. We all from the same area, and
what is it?
Penasquitos, yeah. You've probably been to the house that they shot. The house they shot the teenage suicide video in.
I have.
When Johnny was like 10, I remember.
9 or 10.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. I was like, and it was like a big deal. Like, oh, like he's in a music video, and he had like a Senate T-shirt on. He was like into rollerblading. I'm like, all right,
nice, dude.
But yeah, it's just funny. It was like that was like a big deal at our.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, man. That's super cool. That's super cool.
They were like the hometown heroes. Still are, man. I mean, aside them and Blink, who were like
right.
But
dude, some of my best memories are House of Blues San Diego with Unwritten Law, man. Those shows were
insane.
Whoa, man. Like just full on from the moment we would go on stage to the moment we would leave. The crowd was just so cool. So much fun to play to that crowd. So much fun.
And he always has like 7,000 people backstage when they play San Diego.
You got that right, dude. That is one thing you like. I don't have a specific example, but it's not a crazy thought or thing to say that there maybe was a time where we would play a show and the guest list was bigger than the tickets.
Oh, wouldn't be surprised. I remember they did the Black album in full here in San Diego. And their guest list, I think, was the venue they played was Observatory. I think it's like 1,100.
Yeah.
It's sold out. And I think their guest list was like 200 people or something like that.
That's about right.
It was so
you gotta go on stage, you squeeze through everybody. Hey, I need to excuse me, pardon me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's so much fun, man. All those people, all of his friends, the whole crew that would hang out backstage, they're all awesome people. I still see and talk to some people sometimes, and
that's awesome.
Dude, I just had a blast when I was in that band. I had so much fun. But the fella who was playing bass with me at the time, his name was Derek Envy. We had been friends for years before that and during this, but then we kind of decided, we left at the same time and we started another band.
Okay.
And then that was called True Rivals. Excuse me. And We got our friend Nate Walker, who was the drummer from Lit.
Oh wow!
And so he played with us, and then our friend Trevor Jackson, he was playing guitar with us. So we kind of put our stuff together, and we did like a full record, and then an EP, and then after like 2 or 3 years, that fizzled out too. But we did pretty good. Like we would we
I
played a
remember
bunch
the
of
name True Rivals.
True Rivals, yeah.
I remember seeing like I can see the name like on posters or like on stuff.
There's our first album back there.
Oh,
That
rad.
guy right there.
Okay.
But actually, stupid story about that is we did that record. We wrote it all in like some garage in like North Hollywood, recorded all these demos, went down to Orange County. Our friend Jay Stolo, he's a rad like producer, and he's teched with bands like Lit and other people like that. And he did that record for us. And then we did the packaging and everything. We set it all up, and we were originally called The Revenant. And this is like before the movie. Everybody was like, that's the dumbest name ever. We had named it after a Distillers song. There's a Distillers song called The Revenant, right? And so we did everything, the TR, The Revenant. And then the day we released everything, some stupid band in Kentucky who could have just sent us an email. For the last 3 months we've been on Facebook.
Right.
The day we released everything, they like got some court order and shut everything down. So we released the record. All of a sudden it was taken off iTunes. Our Facebook got shut down. Our Twitter got shut down. Everything got shut down. This band was like, you can't use our name. And we're like, dude, all you had to do was be like, hey, can we talk about this? So it screwed up. It screwed up the whole thing. Not that it was.
But and were they? And I'm sure they're probably a band. You said from Kentucky.
Something like that.
Yeah, with like 300 fans or some crap.
Not even.
Like, and you're like, how come? I don't know. I don't see how they can't use it. Like, how could you not use it if they hadn't done anything of?
They had like put out a record or something. I don't remember the specifics.
Gave them some copyright or something with the name.
It was so dumb, but they managed to get everything shut down that day. So we had to change the name, and we had all the packaging and everything, and everything like, done. TR. I mean, seriously, like, like, yeah, it was, we threw everything at the wall, every single thing that could be TR, the taco rollerblades or whatever, so we ended up with True Rivals, and then like redid everything. But
oh my goodness. So but you put the record out, and then you said the band went around. You guys were around for about 3 years or so.
Yeah, we played for a while. I mean, we from our previous, like Derek and I, when we were with UL, we did a co-headlining tour with MXPX. And so we went around the country with them, became good friends with Mike and all those dudes. And they ended up throwing us on shows. We played like the Galaxy in Santa Ana with MXPX.
Wow.
We played maybe House of Blues too. So we were playing we're still playing like little bars as like a fresh new band would, but we're also getting good opportunities. Zebrahead would always hook us up their House of Blues shows. We play with them. So we did okay. And then we put out another little EP, and there was some radio play on like Sirius and things like that. And then we just kind of just fizzled out, and that was it. No problems there. But it is what it is. Yeah. Right. So,
and then currently I know you're working on like a film score, right?
Well, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, like,
but are you working with a band now too, or are you playing in a band or
no
stuff?
Not really. Like, we've been talking about maybe doing some more True Rivals music at some point. That would be cool. We have songs, and we're Derek is playing in that band Red City Radio. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
But he's playing bass for them now, so he's busy doing that. Nobody's busy doing anything right now, but that's where he's at.
He's
now.
busy on Zoom calls. Sessions.
Right. But I mean, there's probably starting around 2016 or so. Like I said, when I went to Berklee, I wanted to get into the film stuff. Back, dude, in like early 2000s, I would like rip movies off of LimeWire and like put them on mute and like record music to like re-record scores. Like I would like, I would want to write music. Like I remember specifically doing like Donnie Darko, like writing music to Donnie Darko. And
that's cool. I've never heard of anyone doing that. I'm sure other film scores maybe do that.
Maybe I don't, wasn't like a big thing that I did. I didn't show it to people. I just would sit in my room and like, I had like a tape player and I would hit play it and on both things at the same time and like record stuff and go back and write down the time when I started, and then I would just play it back and listen to it. And it was everything from like stuff that sounded like 90s AFI, kind of like punk rock stuff, to like actual more film scorey kind of vibey things with different crappy synths I might have had or keyboards. But I always did that. And then like 2016, maybe a little before that, I just started putting feelers out to people in LA, like who does music for film, who does whatever. And ran into this dude, his name is Mark Yaeger. He's a rad film composer, and he's done a bunch of cool things. And he's a friend of a friend. And he basically, I told him what I wanted to do. I told him I was serious. And I think, I had a little more experience, so I was able to jump right in and work with him. And he got me all set up. Like, he got my computer set up the way they needed to be, showed me how I needed to like organize files and interact with people and do things and actually do everything when it comes down to things. And he would throw me, a couple like web commercials or like a commercial here or a short film. So I did all these things with him, like under him, for a couple of years. And that was super cool. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten any of the opportunities I haven't without that opportunity.
Wow. Do you enjoy doing that? Like the film score?
This is where I'm at. This is what I want to be doing every day.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what I'm doing every day right now. But then after a couple of years of that, I just kept like just throwing it out there. Then my wife and I, a friend who I believe my wife Heather worked with this gal. Her name is Annika Marks. She's an actor, she's a very accomplished actor. And her husband, Rich Newey, is a accomplished music video director, TV director. She wrote a film. And I don't really remember how it happened, but I was just like, hey, I want to do the music for your film. And they sent me the script, and I wrote like 40 minutes of music to this script, and didn't use an ounce of it in the film, but it got me. I had them come over and play them all. This is the themes I have for this character. This is the themes I have for this character and this part and this thing, and it got me the gig. And
how do you? So you have to like. So you're watching the movie. Do you see the film and score as it goes, or is it already edited and done?
Generally,
later, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, for this particular scenario was I wrote all this music, like I said, to the score or to the script. To
the script.
And then generally you don't as a writer for music for picture, you don't really want to work on the music too specifically until the picture is fully edited and locked, kind of. Because
so timing and stuff on like, because are you like literally writing to the edits? Like
sometimes.
So what you submit to them, they just, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's also there's a whole bunch of different ways. There were ideas. There's something called temp music, like TEMP, right? Temp music, which a director or an editor will throw in out as they're editing, and it'll be like John Williams from whatever,
right,
or something. So they'll edit to that. So you kind of have a good template of the
like
pace
timing and
correct. Yeah. So that happens. That happens sometimes. Sometimes they're just like, here you go, dude. Like, see you in a couple weeks. Like, give it your best shot or whatever.
Right.
That happens too.
In that instance, like, say I had a film and I'm like, I'm sure you do get this, because somebody gives you the film and goes, okay, can you write a score? And then you send it back and they're like, I love these scenes, but this I don't want. Like, and then you have to go back and be like, okay, let me try to rewrite this and then submit it to them again, and then they're gonna want changes. So that's probably something you have to deal with all the time.
All the time. That's what it is. I mean, I've read some composers, they don't like to put when they bounce out the files, the songs, they don't like to put a V1 for version 1 at the end of the thing, because they're secretly hoping there won't be a version 2.
Oh, interesting. But, that's smart.
But I always do it. But it's there. It's there even if you don't see it or not. But
right.
I've gotten a couple times where I've gotten to like version 17 of things.
Oh my gosh.
It happens. But it's a team game. Like you have to you got to just there were so many times I've fallen in love with like version 1, and you just got to learn to just forget about that. And because it's first of all, it's not yours. It's you're adding to somebody else's like vision of a movie.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, that happens. And I've been through a bunch of cool things like that. But this movie in particular is pretty easy because Rich had a clear vision of what he wanted. So like, I was able to just kind of like do it.
Do what he was kind of set up for. Well, like it's so fascinating to me, the world of scoring music. Like, you come from a world of Unwritten Law and Bullets and Octane and Sex and Violence, and if you were to write a film score, like, I feel like when I'm listening to like the music isn't 90% of the time I'm not hearing like punk music coming out of from under a film. So you obviously have to be able to write in a ton of different genres. Yeah,
I do a lot of everything. I mean, I study a lot of classical music, and I write for orchestra, and I have a small publishing deal with the company where I submit like movie trailers. So I just like blindly write movie trailers with certain specific points of interest in them, and then they all get uploaded to a thing. So I'm always working with, orchestra and things like that, not actual orchestras, but, digital stuff. And so I'm writing for all that stuff, and I'm never like, while I do have a history of like straightforward kind of rock and roll with these bands, but I'm all over the place, man, with I mostly play jazz guitar, and I listen only to I listen to like weird exotica music from the 50s, like Martin Denny, and or like Bill Evans Trio. I'm a huge Bill Evans Trio fan. All his piano jazz. Like, I'm all over the place, which may be a bad thing, but
I was gonna say I would almost think that you have to be, right? Because if all you sat down and listened to was rock music, how would you have like any other like? I would think that you wouldn't have those like points of reference when you're trying to write something out that's not rock and roll.
Sure. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's true. But also like, that's also like somebody like Trent Reznor, for example, is like getting very big, or at least when he started scoring films, people wanted the Trent Reznor thing. So he just did his
he had that
thing.
style. It was like kind of 9 Inch Nails, like when he did like the girl with the tattoos or wherever, the dragon tattoo. It kind of still had that 9 Inch Nails-y vibe to it. But the Social Network was brilliant. Yeah, I can still listen to that soundtrack now, and
it's super cool. I mean, I'm a huge fan of 9 Inch Nails. I have been since the 90s.
But it's bizarre that he got in that world and did so well with it.
It works, and like it's hip. People are like, oh yeah, it's Trent Reznor. It's so cool. Like, it's not,
right, of course,
not like whoever from wherever who's just like some geeky dude in like a weird suit with jeans. Like, it's not. It's Trent Reznor, so it's cool. It
already
appeals
has
to
appeal.
People. Yeah, and on top of it, I mean, I think he's great at it too. On top of it, in his own way, So I mean, yeah, you definitely have to adapt, and I'm adapting now with what I'm doing. I also recently started doing like sound editing too. So I had a producer friend sent me a short film that she wrote, and I did the sound editing on it. And then I was like, hey, can I do the music too? I kind of did, I was hoping to do that, and I've been wanting to work with her for a long time.
That's awesome.
And then now recently she's given me a web series that I'm working on. So it's like 8 episodes, and I'm doing the sound design. I'm just about to finish doing the music, which is I've been doing for the last month or so after. So,
wow. When you say sound design, are you talking like every little like
everything
sound effect?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Moving my paper, and then you have to go record the piece of paper, like
100%, or use
and then you got to use that gnat sound to put there. Oh my gosh!
Just yesterday, I was walking high heels across my desk.
Really?
And my wife was like, "What are you doing with my heels in your studio, dude?"
Foley sounds.
Foley. Yeah, Foley. So doing that, and then also editing the dialogue and the voiceovers and the ADR, and
that's cool.
But then doing all that and then doing the music, it's been a daunting task on this thing, because it's 8 episodes. I have maybe 40 cues of music on top of 8 episodes of work. It's fun. It's really cool. But
and then are you mixing that all too?
everything, doing it,
My
doing it
goodness,
all.
man.
So
I edit video like as a side thing, and
yeah.
I hate mixing the music and the
Yeah.
voiceovers and stuff. It's like I can't, and that would be like very minimal, like commercials or very short 5-10 minute pieces. I can't imagine doing a whole
they're
film
short
with sounds and music and oh my
well,
God.
dude, I had this great experience with Killing Eleanor, the film I worked with Annika and Rich. So it got picked up and it got like a pretty good budget, and this company helped them make it. And after I submitted all the music, which was a scary thing when you're just like clicking send to the dub stage on everything, and that's it. It's crazy. Like sent it, and I was like, I always wanted to do the music for a film, and now I have, and it's over, and I feel like nothing changed. This is, and I immediately wanted to do it all over again. Like not because I wanted to have the experience again, but because I was like, I screwed everything up. I ruined their movie. It's very, very weird feeling. I wasn't expecting that, and that, we went to this, the dub stage they used was, I think it was called like Tunnel Studios. It's in Santa Monica. And right on the beach, and it's like it's already like super like Hollywood dream kind of walking up to the studio, and
sure
you walk in, they're like, oh yeah, you're in the theater in the back, and I walk into this theater, there's a huge desk with a Pro Tools rig and a couple lazy boys in a theater, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. It was kind of like being at Warped Tour when I was 16, and you're seeing all these bands, you're like, I want to do this. I can't believe they're letting me in here right now.
Sure.
But let's just be cool and just like hold your breath and then get out as quick as you can. Don't screw this up. But it was cool. I learned a lot from that, for like, especially the Foley stuff, like sitting there watching a scene and they're like, oh, the birds just aren't right. We need to change the birds. And they go from like, let's do crows. And then they go to like crows instead of like whatever.
Whoa.
So I was like, man, every little sound in this is just somebody's touching it. Every little bit of this film.
It's crazy.
Really cool experience.
Did you get to write in that big room? Like
no, that was after.
Oh, okay.
That was after. Like I did everything at my house, and then you just submit that's to the mixer there. But it was a cool experience.
Do they do that anymore? Like, because all I think of is like Forgetting Sarah Marshall when he's in the room and they're like he's playing all the sad songs.
Of course, like... or when he goes through like he takes the mic stand through the projector screen because he's mad at it. That's hysterical. I mean, I have a mini version of that in this room I'm in right now. I'm looking at 7 computer screens and.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So people don't need to really do that anymore.
Nah, I mean it's. I guess I don't know the scenario where you would like write in a studio, because that costs money, dude. Like
right.
Like people like Hans Zimmer has his own studio. It's a studio.
Yeah, he has his own spot and his own mixers and everybody there.
Right.
Yeah.
Like but everybody else kind of does stuff at their house. You do stuff at your house. And then for the big boys, they play with orchestras and things like that. So they'll write they'll do their mock-ups where they'll write their score with digital orchestra stuff, present it to the producers and the director and everybody, get everything okayed. So when they go do rent a studio, there's no fiddling around with like, ooh, this part's a little weird. No, everything's locked in. Here's the sheet music, one take with the orchestra.
Yeah, just play this and we'll be done.
So,
got it.
But they all do that at home, So I've built up a pretty decent setup here. So
it looks dope, man. From what I can see, it looks.
Yeah,
great.
this is just what looks at me all day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
has like when COVID hit, did that affect you at all or not in the least? Because you're already working.
It totally did, because I didn't. Well, for like the publishing company that I'm with, this company called Studio Rev. Mm-hmm. Nobody made movies or did anything for a while, so nobody was buying music.
Oh, sure.
So that just
nobody was filming, nobody was doing TV, nothing.
Right. So it just nothing. Nobody's buying anything. And then I'm also still at a point where I'm not like, people aren't like climbing over each other to like get me to work on their projects. I'm still like building my momentum as a professional in this world. So you know, the big lapses in time, you know, between projects are gonna happen now. But especially now, there's just no questioning it. It's just like I didn't get anything until the end of the year, and then when this gal hit me up recently to do this web series. So, and actually I did a couple little commercials just in the last month or two, but for the whole year, man, I just like, yeah, just I played little jazz licks on my guitar for 8 hours with my kid running around me. Oh, that's it. Yeah, so.
I love that. Yeah, I saw on your Instagram, like you'll go on and play guitar and stuff. Like, are you still pursuing like your own, like, like record or?
I mean, yeah, I don't. While I write music and I've written songs and that are on records, and I'm not like a full on like, hey man, I got these 15 songs, I got to put them out because I have 15 more coming right behind it. Like I'm not that dude. But I have like, you know, I'm still, a lot of people frown upon the like just playing music just to play music for yourself thing. Like people are like, if you're going to do it, like try to pursue something or focus your energy and I just, you know, I kind of spread it all out. I don't know if it's bad or good or anything yet. We'll find out, I guess. But
time will tell.
Yeah, but I'd like to, you know, I've gotten into like modular synthesis in the last couple months too, like, which is just wild. Is just plugging cables and wires and knobs. It's wild, but I'm learning. It's like, you know, trying to like continually just do something different, which is kind of what I've always kind of done, you know. So
yeah. Do you miss like the touring or any of that, or you sure satisfied at home?
I'm cool, man. I got a 2-year-old and I don't, if I miss,
dude, I have a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old. I can't even.
Yeah. So imagine like, but like, I think like, imagine if you didn't see your kid from when they were like 3 to 6.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I would be able to do that. Maybe I'm not like really meant to do that. And it's not a bad thing. Like, it's just,
some people can and some people can't do it.
But I'll tell you what, like if the right gig came along and somebody asked me to play,
like if Pearl Jam wanted you to tech for them,
I don't know about teching, but if they wanted me to play guitar for them, I would definitely.
Well, there.
But
I was gonna say their lineup's pretty solid. That was probably a bad example.
They're not rocking that boat at all. You need to go to like a band with like a Wikipedia page this long with members.
Right.
Maybe I'll have a shot. But, yeah, like I don't know. I'm not really. I'm concentrating on like being. I've learned that, especially doing film music, you have to try to be as fast as possible with doing things. So I concentrate on like producing music quickly and efficiently, and I'm trying to learn different ways to use different pieces of gear and things like that, you know.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much, man, for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. You're awesome, and I'm so cool that I didn't realize like until after like I read the thing that you sent over, and then I'm like, oh, Unwritten Law, that's cool. He's toured with them, and then I didn't realize that you like, I thought you toured as like the support act. I didn't realize like I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this guy play before. Like, crazy.
Well, you're surprised. I'm super surprised. That's crazy. You grew up with Johnny and all those guys. That's really cool.
Yeah,
man.
how funny. What a small world, man.
Yeah.
And well, again, thank you for talking with me. I do have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
That's a good one. Back when I was in high school, there was this fella. He's long since passed away. He was elderly 20 years ago.
Okay.
I think his name was Mr. McCarthy, Fred McCarthy, I believe. He was super cool, but I had a guitar in school one day, and he was like, "Oh, you're a musician. You want to be in a band or something?" And we talked. I explained to him, "Yeah, I want to be a professional musician." And he almost like scolded me, and he was like, "You need to find your sound. Find your sound. Like everybody has a sound." And it scared me a little bit, but I still think about that to this day, and I know I haven't yet. But like I have a style. I know I have a style. But I think when you're growing up, you need to set a goal, and you need to find something that's you, but by being yourself, not by trying to be somebody else. Because if you spend too much time trying to be somebody else, the second that lapses, people see right through you, or you got to spend time living up to something you're not, you know? So find your little sound and do what you want to do, you know, be yourself. Bringing it back